Are you finding it difficult to juggle the clinical work all while managing the administrative side to running an ABA practice? In this video, I will be sharing the strategies to find the perfect balance between your administrative tasks and your clinical tasks. So let's be clear on one thing. The goal of owning an ABA practice may not be to manage both the clinical as well as the administrative side. However, we all have to start somewhere. So now that we've got that established, let's dive in. So we want to first start off by prioritizing our tasks. As a BCBA and or an ABA business owner, it can be very easy for us to believe that everything is urgent and everything is important right now. This is why it is crucial for you to determine what is considered urgent and what is something that could wait a little later. And being able to prioritize based upon urgency will help you to determine what clinical duties you need to do, as well as what administrative duties you need to do. So let's define. Urgent tasks are things that require your immediate attention. Say, for example, something that needs to be completed in order for a client to continue their services with you, such as a reassessment or an authorization. So now let's define important. Important are tasks that contribute to your long-term goals. So say, for example, this may be creating a staff training program or curriculum, or even updating your SOPs. Now that we have the definition of urgent and important, we can now begin to do some task segmentation. So what that can look like is breaking down your tasks based upon daily tasks, weekly tasks, monthly tasks, or even quarterly tasks. And this can really help you to begin balancing between your clinical tasks as well as your administrative tasks so that you are not feeling overwhelmed. Listen, I know the feeling of being overwhelmed all too well. So try this and I am sure it will help to ease some of that feeling of anxiety and ease some of the feeling of stress that can come along with operating as both the clinician as well as the administrator. So I'm gonna quiz you to see if you all were paying attention. Here we go. So for example, if you have a item that is due for a client, say for example, a treatment plan that you need to submit within the next week or two. And then you also need to begin the organization of your client's file. What do you all think is urgent versus important? Cue the game show music. All right, you got it. It is more urgent for you to focus on the client's treatment plan that is due. Of course, the organization of the files is important as it relates to a long-term goal or as it relates to just management of the administrative duties on the organizational side, but that is not something that is urgent. So, good job. Proud of you. Next, you want to utilize time blocking within your schedule. I know this is easier said than done. I know. But this is such a powerful tool to help you to be able to segment what time you are going to dedicate to what task. So for me, I utilize Google Calendar, and what I would do is pre-plan time where I would focus in on my administrative tasks and then pre-plan time where I'm going to focus in on my clinical tasks. Because what can happen pretty easily is if you don't plan where you're going to utilize your time and what you are going to do with the time that you are available, you will find that all of these things just pop up on your calendar and all of these things just pop up on your to-do list, and then you really start to feel all over the place and overwhelmed. So say for example, if you are doing a clinical time block, this could be the time that you are dedicating to updating treatment plans, to updating client programs or materials, or even to see your clients for direct supervision or parent meetings, things of that nature. So this will help you to know, okay, I am going to see Johnny from, let's say, 8:30 to 11:30. Therefore, I cannot schedule anything administrative between this time frame because I am dedicating my time to see Johnny, right? And again, this is also something that is urgent, right? Because we have to ensure as the clinician that we are providing that care and supervision to our clients as well as to our staff. Now onto the administrative side. You want to also do similar time blocks that can be utilized for any hiring or interviewing. This can be utilized for when you are going to review progress notes or bill for services. This also can be time that you use to meet with your staff or do any type of staff management related tasks that you may have, as well as any paperwork that comes along with the role of being an administrator within your organization. So for some, you may say, okay, I want to make sure that I'm reserving time in the morning to see my clients. And then in the afternoon, I want to reserve that for more of the administrative tasks. For me personally, it honestly depends upon the week and depends upon what tasks I have to do. So when I was in the midst of doing a ton of clinical and admin, I would oftentimes reserve my mornings to be more administrative related and or flexible with the tasks I assign just based upon what may happen with clients or staff at the start of the day. Or if it was, say for example, that I needed to reach out to an insurance company, I would make sure that I did that at the start of the day or perhaps almost at the end of the day. Because if you know, when you're dealing with an insurance company, calling in the middle of the day or around that lunch period, you are going to be on the phone for hours, and that's just a waste of time. Okay, so you want to think about, how do you want to structure your schedule? Are there certain days of the week where you want to do certain things, or is it a certain time of day? And this will most certainly help you as it relates to you helping with the organization of your day as a whole. Delegation is essential. You just can't get around it. I'm talking to me as well, okay? I'm talking to you and talking to me at the same time. Delegation is essential. You just can't get around it if it is that you're operating as a clinician and as a administrator within your company. Once you are able to delegate, I feel like the floodgates just open up. Like, it's like, where did all this time come from? What have I been missing? What have I been doing all this time? And how have I been so selfish not to delegate tasks to those that can probably do a better job than me? Why haven't I done this sooner? Once you delegate, literally floodgates open up. It's like, oh. The hardest thing that I had to realize is, like, you do not have to do everything by yourself. There is no badge of honor that you get when you do everything by yourself. It probably boosts your own ego a bit. It makes you feel like you're like doing great work when you are able to do things by yourself. But in the end, it honestly hurts you. Like, speaking from experience, it honestly hurts you. So you want to think about those administrative tasks that are non-clinical, of course, that you are able to delegate to other individuals within your organization. So could you hand off scheduling? Could you hand off doing client intakes or sending new hire paperwork? What are those things that are happening in your business that are an easy thing for you to be able to quickly train someone on and be able to delegate to them, so that then you can really spend more time operating in your zone of genius and or operating and being more present as it relates to the clinical work that you may have to do within your organization. Next, you want to think about, what type of technology can I implement within my practice that will also help to free me up a bit as it relates to my clinical tasks as well as my administrative tasks. Could it be that you elect into a electronic health record system or a electronic data collection system that will help you to decrease a lot of the manual work that happens when you are operating as a paper-based organization or operating with electronic elements such as Excel? So when you are utilizing some type of electronic health record system, this can really help to streamline a lot of your practices. So say for example, maybe all of your claims and billing entries are housed in one location. All of your therapy notes are housed in one location. And it just helps to be less tedious as it relates to all of the steps that go into place as it relates from when you service a client to when you get paid for the services that you've rendered to a client. There are so many steps in between those things. So if it is that you are able to elect into a technology that can help to streamline all of that, what is the theme of today? Making more time, right? Because when you're operating as a clinician and as an administrator, there is not a lot of time. You are stretched thin, almost as thin as a piece of spaghetti, okay? So you really want to think about, what can I do and what can I put into place in my practice that will really help me to free up myself so that I can allocate the time as it relates to where it is needed in my organization depending upon what your goals are for your organization. So if anything I've shared so far has helped you to really start to think about the things that you can change within your practice, be sure to like and be sure to subscribe. I would love to have you stick around. When you all like my video, it gives me a little boost of reinforcement. Like, I'm a behavior analyst, I like to be reinforced. So when you all are liking, it tells me that I am on the right track with what I am producing. And also when you subscribe, that just tells me that you wanna stick around for a long time because you know that we're going to have a good time. So just subscribe and like, of course, only if you're finding value. You wanna make sure that you are setting clear boundaries between your clinical work and your administrative work. It is so easy to get wrapped up in the clinical because that is the thing that is on fire, right? When we think about owning a practice, there's always something happening from the clinical realm, whether it be if a staff is out, who's going to provide services to this client, if it be a treatment plan is due, if it be a material is needed, or if it's something that needs to be ordered. There's always some sort of like a fire, quote unquote, that's happening surrounding the clinical nature of the role of a BCBA that is also operating within your organization. So if it is that you have planned to do something that is also important for the business as it relates to your administrative duties, and there is a clinical need that arises, you really have to weigh, what is it that I'm going to do in this moment? I know most recently for me, there was something that needed to be done as it related to the administrative duties that I have within my organization. And also there was a need for a client that needed to be serviced in that moment. So really what I had to do is make the difficult decision to see, okay, is it that we can have another staff come in that maybe wasn't scheduled to work? Is it that we can modify the schedule so that we are still able to service that client? Or is it that we need to cancel the client because in that moment, this was something administrative that I needed to do. There was no room for flexibility in that moment. There was no room for being able to pass it to the next day or pass it to another person because it was something that I needed to do. And there may be times where you have to create those clear boundaries within your business, or there may be times where you have to make those really tough decisions so that you are still able to press forward as it relates to whatever it is that you need to do as the BCBA operating your company, as well as the administrator. Another thing that I don't think we talk about enough as it relates to business owners is creating some sort of work-life balance. It is very, very difficult to create work-life balance as an entrepreneur. When we're thinking about how you operate as an administrator as well as a BCBA within your organization, it can be pretty easy to have all of the work that you need to do spill over into your home life and taking your laptop and taking all the things and planning to do work after work. Again, I've been there. Some days I am still there. But you have to also be mindful to create some of those boundaries and listen to your body and listen to yourself. If it is that you know that you have worked like a dog that day or that week or that month, and even though you still have work to do, you just need a moment to relax or you just need a moment to separate, give yourself that moment. That work will be there. It is not the end of the world. It is so easy to bring home work and to tell yourself, I'm going to establish this boundary. I'm not going to do work after 6, or I'm not going to do work after this. And it's so easy to establish it, but not to follow it, right? So I challenge you to try your best to listen to yourself, listen to your body, listen to how you're feeling, and enforce those boundaries that you put in place. Because remember, boundaries are put in place for a reason, and one of those reasons is to protect you. And it is crucial that you protect yourself if you are hoping for longevity within this industry. And as you may know, the balance between the clinical side and the administrative side is not static. It's very fluid. It may ebb and flow depending upon where you are within your organization. So be open to regularly adjusting what it is that you're doing within your business. Me personally, I always reevaluate where I am at within my business. Where are things that I feel like I'm spending too much time on clinically, and are there resources or people that we can put in place? And where are areas that I'm spending too much time on the administrative side? And again, is there something that I could have a system for? Is it something that I can create an automation for within my business that may not truly require me? And it's so helpful to be able to do these things when you constantly solicit feedback from your team. What is working? What is not working? Even if you think that you have the best ideas in the world and you believe that the way you are doing it today is the best way to do it and there is no other that can come up with a better way than you, I challenge you that that's a myth. And I challenge you to also think about still asking for feedback from your team, because sometimes the people that are actually in it have a better idea as it relates to how to resolve some things than someone that is not in that seat. And you also want to do some self-reflection, right? How does it feel when you are in the midst of what it is that you're doing? Are there certain tasks that you believe that can be better served with someone else? Are there certain tasks that really don't get you motivated and really don't get that fire going in you? And that might be something that tells you either you need to find someone else that can do this job, or you need to find someone else that you can delegate this task to that is in your existing organization. But with some of the strategies that I've shared with you today, it can be effectively managed. If you are interested on more videos about managing ABA practice, please leave a comment below on some ideas that you might have. And also feel free to check out the next video because I'm sure that you will enjoy it, and I'll see you there.